All right, first our supplies. We are going to need 4 5x5 squares of whatever backing you have. Normally it should match the color of your ears. This yellow velour fabric is going to be the fabric that you are going to see. So make sure there's no discrepancies. It's, ironed if it needs be. This is the pretty stuff. We're going to need our pom-poms. I found these at Michael's, super cheap. Next, we're going to need a piece of tulle fabric. That's going to be the overlay on your bow. This piece is 14 inches by 17 inches. The next is just a white felt fabric that I found at Joann's. We're going to need a headband. We are going to need a little kind of rainbow loom elastics. That's what I use to kind of hold my bow together. We're going to need a couple pieces of felt fabric. This is 3 inches by 6 inches long. And then whatever backing you need for your ears, for the inside of the headband. And some scissors and a glue gun, obviously. So first off, we are going to construct our headband. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure out, you're going to put that fabric over your headband and just measure out how much you're going to need. Just use your own, I don't know what size your headband is, but, just measure it this way. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue section by section going down the band, pressing the fabric into the band. As we glue. Don't do too much because the glue dries way too quick and then it's going to end up looking really bumpy. Velour fabrics like this are really unforgiving, so make sure you're really squeezing down and flattening the glue underneath the fabric. Next, we're just going to take a pair of scissors and we are going to cut off all the excess fabric. Make sure you taper the ends in, however, your headband is. Get all that excess away. And now we're going to glue the ends in and, really simple. Do that first. And then we're going to put glue all the way down the sides of our band and glue down that excess fabric, just so we really don't see it too much. Make sure it's flat and flush to the band. This doesn't have to be perfect because you are going to be putting a backing over it. So you don't want any excess fabric because then it starts looking lumpy. Okay, next we're going to be taking our backing and we're just going to be lining the inside of our headband with this. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I use something a little bit more sturdy, but this is what I had on hand. All right, so next we are going to make our ears. You're going to get a circle cut out. You can find them online. You can make your own. You're going to take one of those backing pieces and you're going to trace with a colorful pen just so it's really easy for you to see in the sewing machine. We're going to put one piece down first. Velour fabric is funny. Make sure you do it on the side that doesn't give too much stretch. You're going to put one piece of backing and then you're going to have these two pretty colors. This is what you're going to see. You're going to have them facing each other. So pretty sides in, and then we're going to take that piece right there that we colored on and we're going to sew that. After that is all sewed, you're going to cut off all the excess. We definitely don't want that staying because once you flip it inside out, it's going to be lumpy. So get off as much as you can. Don't go too close to the seam because you will cut it and then you'll have to glue it and then it looks like it's glued and it'll be a big whole mess. So then you're going to flip it right side out and you're just going to stick your finger in there and just go along the seam and make sure you've got your shape going. Just check it out and make sure everything's fine. The next thing you're going to need is this foam board. I find mine at Michael's for $1. You can also find it at Joann's. It's $1.99 at Joann's. So if you can get it at Michael's, that's great. You're going to take a smaller cutout and you're going to trace that. This piece is going to go inside your ear. So you don't want it to be as big as your ear. So we're just going to cut them out. Make sure you kind of really follow along what you traced here. You know, you don't want it to be super bumpy, but it also doesn't have to be perfect at the same time, because you can fix any mistakes with the fluff that you shove in there afterwards. This contour part is really important because that's what's going to sit on the band. After you got your two pieces cut out, you're going to take one. You're going to put this inside the backing part. You're going to fold it together, and you're just going to shove it all the way in and then flatten it out. Make sure, you know, manipulate it in there. If your stitching is solid, you know, you'll have a little bit of give to kind of move it around, and you're not worrying about things pulling or stretching or anything. Another huge reason why when using velour type fabrics, you know, sew on the side that's, you know, not as stretchy. So here I'm taking my fluff, I'm just kind of aerating it a little bit so it's not just one solid mass. I'm not putting too much in. You don't want too much in because then they end up looking weird and distorted. Just get it in there, and just not too much. This isn't a big thing, you know, and just get it in there. Make sure it's all going around your edges. You can take your finger and really smooth it out. Next, we are going to pull down that yellow fabric and expose that backing, and we're just going to cut off the excess. We really don't need it there. Sometimes I'll keep it, but for this purpose, we really don't need it. It almost ends up looking a little bumpy. So you are going to take your glue gun and you are going to glue right where that foam backing is. You can see why it's so important to use. And we're just going to put the fabric over it and then tuck it in, just like you're tucking in a shirt and a pair of pants. You know, same thing. I'm going to cut off any, you know, strings I have here, and then you're going to go over that same place and you're going to pull that fabric really taut over the glue and just hold it there. I normally put it on the palm of my hand, you know, make it so that contour is still there. It's very important to have that. Once you put this on your band, it's going to need to fit. So if it's a straight surface, it's going to end up, you know, you're going to have spaces on either side of your ear circles, and that's definitely not what you want. So again, you're just gluing that over and you're pulling it really tight, and just, you know, you will probably glue yourself here. Sometimes it really hurts. You know, I know there are different gloves and everything. So yeah, all right, so here are ear holes, super fun. Okay, so right here, we're going to put the bottom of our headband, and we want it to be completely lined up with this bottom line. You know, it doesn't have to be one of these mats, but it's definitely useful. Now, you can see here the bottom of the ear holes, I want them to match up also. So use the lines on a board, and just to give you a little bit of a guide, it helps you to make both ears the placement to be even. So you can see here, I normally do it about 3 inches from the bottom of the band, and that's why these lines are really important. Wait about 5-10 seconds, do the other one, make sure it's all lined up. You got them both at that 3-inch mark. Perfect. And then just re-smush. There we go. There's our ear base. Puffy, cute. All right, now we're going to make our bow. We're going to take that fleece backing that we have, and we're going to fill it with some fluff. This is going to be what you're going to see, what's going to make the bow, you know, puffy and fun. And I really hate limp bows. And on top of that, you want it, you know, because you're putting a tulle over it, you need it to be kind of solid inside. You don't want it to be floppy. So we're just going to get a good rectangle of fluff in there, and right along the seam, we're going to put some glue down. My glue gun is so jacked. My goodness. All right, so just press that down. Make sure it's really flush. Don't glue the entire thing. You know, just put the glue where that fluff is. If you do it all the way to the end, you'll end up seeing it. So I fold over and I kind of tuck in a little bit, kind of like an envelope, just to get those ends out of my face. And then right here, we are going to scrunch 2 times. 1, 2. So you're going to have 2 little folds in the center of your bow. Take your elastics. I take 2. wrap them around. You're really not going to see this, so it doesn't matter what color it is. And now you're going to take your 3x6 piece of the same color fabric. You're going to put some glue on the whole side, going all the way down, and then you're just going to push that down real tight so it's flush. You want this to be flat, no bumps, no weirdness. Nice and clean. We're going to put some glue at the ends. Make sure you put it on the outside of this little band. If you just put a bunch of glue there, it will snap the elastic band that's inside the bow, and then your whole bow falls apart. So just make sure it's on the outside, and then we're going to smush it down, and there you go. That's your bow. So you could really even stop here if you wanted to, you know, but we're going to keep going. All right. So now we've got our tulle fabric. You know, they have so many pretty types of tulle at Joann's with sparkles and shimmer, you know, but I just got a basic bridal tulle. We're going to put the bow in the middle of the tulle, and we're going to just put a couple dabs of glue, not crazy. Also, when you're gluing this, make sure you have some like room allowance at the bottom. You could see at the bottom of the bow, there's probably about an inch. You know, that's kind of what you want because you're going to fill it with pom-poms. So you're going to take the other side, you're going to smush it down, burn your fingers. So much fun. Get out any little weird pieces. Then we are going to need another Rainbow Loom elastic, and we're going to elastic this right off the bat because we want to make sure that we have like adequate pockets. So when we put our pom-poms in, they're not going to be falling to the other side. This doesn't have to be perfect yet, so don't, I mean, really, you could, you know, just keep working this, but it really doesn't matter yet. All you want is just to create the basic shape. Make sure that it's going to match up because we are going to be folding these over. Okay, so next we've got our colorful pom-poms. We're going to flip it back over to right side up, and you're going to kind of hold it almost like a funnel. And you're just going to kind of stick it inside. This is, you know, you can see why the elastic is needed so it doesn't pour through to the other side. And we're just going to line up this tulle here. This takes a little bit of manipulating, but again, I just fold it up like an envelope and I will stick it under that little elastic that we have here. Don't worry about the placement of the pom-poms yet. You will be able to move them however you want to when you are finished. Just our main focus right now is getting this tulle to kind of fit this bow, and so it's not all lumpy and weird. And again, we're just going to take that other piece and just shove it back under the elastic. Cinch it, but don't cinch it too much because then it will look cinched in the front, and you definitely don't want that. The back really doesn't matter, but the front, you want it to be nice and clean. All right, so there they are. Again, don't worry about the placement of those pom-poms. You'll be able to fix it. All right, so we're going to take another piece of 3x6 fabric, and we have the same size piece of tulle. I am going to do the same thing that we did with the white part, you know, the inside part of the bow. You're going to create a little band here. Just run your glue gun down the sides of this. It can be a little tricky playing with tulle. Sometimes you have to go over and just kind of dot. Sometimes the tulle melts. Be careful. All right, so now we're going to just kind of tuck that tulle in. We're going to do it to the other side. So we're doing it this way, these two layers, just because there's two layers on the bow and I want it to all kind of be cohesive. Again, we're going to do the same things. Remember, put the glue on the outsides of the band, not in the middle, because if it's in the middle, it will snap that elastic and it will not be pretty. You'll have to do it all over again. Go put that all the way down. Make sure this piece is long enough so the seam is on the bottom of the bow. I don't want to see the seam once the bow is on the ears. So just make sure that this piece is long enough for you to completely wrap it around the bow without seeing the seam on the back. So we want the seam on the bottom. Cut off any excess. And there we go. there's our little bow. It's so cute. I mean, you could even leave it like this, but this is when you come in, start manipulating your palms. You know, I know on Minnie's dress, they all kind of settle to the bottom. I mean, really, you could just have this kind of go all over, you know, but for the sake of this tutorial, I wanted to make it as matching hers as close as I can. I'm so excited. These are my jazz hands. So now we're going to put the glue right on that seam, and just a good amount. Don't be stingy here, you know, and then smush it down, and you are going to hold this for a long time. I sped it up and I cut a lot of it out because there's a lot of waiting, but you're gonna, I mean, I probably hold it for a solid 2 to 3 minutes. If you take it off too soon, it will pop right off. There'll be glue strings everywhere. It will never lay down flat again. So just make sure you're doing it right. You know, I've even tried clamping it because I'm lazy, but then the bow looks all warped. So just give yourself the time. And again, I'm just manipulating those palms and moving the, you know, the tool around. You can see why you want a big seam, not seam allowance, but you want space between your tool and your inside bow. But yeah, that is it. They're so pretty. They are so pretty. And I love the yellow, and I love the sparkly palms inside. Really cute. And you could do these with so many colors, like if you wanted to do them for Halloween or Christmas.